July 21st, man. July 21st, man. Welcome back. We're in amazing spirits. I kind of feel like this looks, even the set design of this looks so converted. We look like we're sitting in like our record store right now, like doing a live stream with. It's like the energy is completely flipping. We just had one of the best confirmations of even yesterday's messaging. Again, apologies if that didn't come out. I mean, it came out right when obviously God wanted it to come out, but apologies that it wasn't like in the day sort of guidance. But either way, I'm trying to do this one earlier and also trying to keep it a little more concise, hopefully, so that it doesn't take so long to upload, because again, I don't really have like Wi-Fi or anything like that, so hopefully this one gets up very quickly. But anyways, just this is the new vibration where it's just like me and my broski. Like, this is what I'm saying, like very shortly here it's just gonna be me and my broski, like literally like living la vida loca, because that's kind of exactly the Seven of Wands with the Ace of Pentacles. It's like the distinction, the separation, the making sure you understand like what is your energy and what is not, actually allows you to understand where your Ace of Pentacles is coming from. And that's just kind of been the huge thing. We just had a really beautiful morning. Dolphin Boy Records just was just so affirmed, and it was like one of those moments where it was like one of the things that I am so excited for it to get into with marriage, which is like, yes, you take losses together and they probably feel like doubly as heavy, but when one of you wins or when both of you win, it's just like humongous. And we just got, it wasn't even like the craziest thing ever, but it was just like a beautiful affirmation that I feel like Spirit used to bring into us to say like, I'm so proud of you for listening to me and saying like, if something causes you pain, definitely do something about that. Like, definitely don't, you don't got to engage in that, but like do what you need to do for your own self-preservation, so that when good things are coming to you, because now I can really clearly see what was just an attack on the blessings that were coming on into me, because like I could kind of feel that the timing of things just felt very bizarre for me. But now I understand. Now it's like, right, like if you have a soul purpose or a destiny or anything of the sort, there are so many energies, lifetime after lifetime, that will jump into the bodies of those those that are around you, to keep you and negatively reinforce that you shouldn't be doing the thing that it is that you're doing exactly, that you shouldn't be on the path that you are on exactly. And obviously, being a level 10 fucking wizard, I know this. I help advise many of you with that same phenomena, and I really affirm all of us, together collectively, titties don't even try it, together collectively, so that we can recognize that it isn't even about flesh and blood, but it is about these energies that don't want God's will to be done on the earth. So if you're someone who's like really set in your path and you're really just trying to go straight to it, you're probably going to be someone that has the most like hellfire distractions that are going to try to come. But they're not attacks, they're not even victimization, they're actually keys. And so today I really spent time with Dennis, and I was just like, dude, it's really important. This is why we go by the morning stars. Like, no, we don't banish demons. We fucking lock in, we fucking transmute, and we fucking keep those bitches on a leash key. So we know, because they always give us the keys that are really hard to get, you know what I mean? Like, just the entities in and of itself that have issues with you confronting exactly what you already know is for you. Because today, just now, we just had such a beautiful, proud moment where, like, outside of Dennis, the world is starting to really be, it's just, when you build, this is why I made this artist network, because when you build as an artist your brand, your empire, your work surrounding your authentic self, when people engage your work, when there's no masks on it, it's just gonna feel like someone could just say a nice comment about it and it will literally make you feel like, holy shit, but because I was bare naked, it's, you know what I mean? When I do get the reflected reinforcement, it's just like so positive. It does so much for you, just because
it's authentic.
Most of the time, most of us, like, even when you go to the club, like, right, if you go to the club and you're in the bus down with your girls and, you got your face beat, it's like really easy to get a compliment and be like, wow, you put in all this effort to look good. But what if the natural parts of you are the thing that people are celebrating? That's like the best. That's just the frequency that I feel like is best. Hold on, I'm gonna get the cat nuts so I can make sure the guys are good. Yeah. Let's get it right. Let's get it tight. Enjoy. Bring this up here in case it gets crunk. So anyways, that's kind of the message. It's like we're starting to get the fruit, because it's like it's the same like response that you'll get from anybody. You put something in, you get it out, right? But it's very different when you're putting in your authentic, vulnerable self. And yes, sometimes hate can be really hard to receive, because if you are being just like raw and vulnerable, it can feel like, damn, these niggas really hate. But then you kind of just realize it's like, well, you hate the real me. So it helps you make those edits and those cuts, because you do know, like, well, I was just being raw. I wasn't even hiding anything. So if someone has a problem with it, then it's really easy in this time to know like who's really not fucking with the real you. And that's really enlightening for me, because my South Node is in the 12th, is in the 11th house in Pisces. So for me, most of my life, especially the people that I would attract early on in life, as long as I was living in my self mode, are going to be people that would prefer me. Like, I'll be really, really celebrated when I'm wearing a mask. I'm going to be far less celebrated and far less supported when I'm being authentic. That's what a Virgo North Node in the 5th house is going to represent. So for me, it's been a life of embracing, like, you know, connections now that I'm on this path of my higher self might be fewer and far between, but man, they're going to last a lifetime. You know what I mean? Like, I may only have Dennis in my corner right now, but this person, he embraces my highest path. He doesn't prefer me to be hurting myself in my south node. He doesn't like aggregate or congregate or, you know, really support me to go backwards in life, you know, at a soul level. So just wanted to kind of give some of that affirmation that we definitely, it was very clear that it was like, yesterday's message was like, you kind of need to put the bumpers up in order to get the strike, you know what I mean? And today, now when we went up to bowl without so much of the interference, it was like, because I just feel like spirit, even little things, even so much as just someone acknowledging you can really give you so much. But if your heart has weight on it, or it has like pain on it, or it's like not clear enough, or again, you're just guarded unnecessarily against things that aren't necessarily nefarious or against you, you won't receive the fullness of what it was. So it was like down to the wire. Like today, someone was going to put up and it was going to shout out Dolphin Boy Records, right? That seems like something that was always going to happen because this is a separate person running their schedule, acknowledging the label, right? And it's a good thing because over the weekend we were feeling like dog shit. Like we were just, you know, there was a situation that comes up that it really required our attention to like, well, it just hurt for that to be like what we were going through. But it also had nothing to do with anything that we're like regularly doing now. So it's very important for us to recognize that it's like, you know, the adult thing to do is like, you know, be accountable and action your own like method for like healing and cleansing. Like again, one thing I just want to let people don't gotta love me, they can hate you, it doesn't even matter, but I'm gonna let you know it will be the same in the age of the Aquarian. In the age of the Aquarian, you don't get from here to there if you don't do anything. And specifically Saturn in Aries the next 3 years, Saturn says there are no doors that open unless you open them yourself. So all of those things were, for the first 7 minutes, we're in like amazing spirits, and I can already just see how fast like the whole shit is like, I just feel like right now, I don't know, the way that I'm like translating like the vibe I'm at is like I'm in our label like studio headquarters. I just feel that way. I feel like we're at the art world headquarters. It's like very, very exciting. But it is just like the conscious awareness. And I'm just, like I said, if you were late to the message, like I said, I know the last one just uploaded today or whatever the fucking uploaded, but it uploaded like hella late. So really would it take seriously, especially if you're in line with the studio, like July 22nd, there's a huge conscious awareness of an Ace of Pentacles coming to you. And I just don't want you to project onto your Ace of Pentacles the big blessing that comes in, the negative, anything that doesn't let you feel it as big as it really is, because it is as big as you think it is. And I don't think any of you would have a problem with that. But again, when we don't do regular maintenance, when we don't like, even like, it's not even that serious about like permanent cuts, but like if anything, even if you're like in the car and someone cuts you off or you got a fender bender, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't even matter. Like those little things require energetic, especially things that you're like, when it comes to just like things you get aligned to, you do have to do work to maintain your spirit so that you're not also like still carrying that throughout the day to day. Because one thing I think people are definitely seeing with this Leo retrograde, that Leo's kind of like kicking in the ass, because it's a great time, it's a fiery energy that's going to like really promote you to, you know, get after personal fitness and health and wellness regimes that need to be like tended to. But it's also going to really sting and reverberate negatively at this time if it's like the things that you were doing, like if you're doing this, if everything like rolls over to the next day, whether that's emotions, conversation, if you just never are finishing up, this would be the retrograde that really lets you know you have to like start and stop things. You have to like complete things, because Leo is a fixed energy. So it really wants you to build the empire and to receive your Ace of Pentacles. And it's going to be here for many of you, you know, to have. But again, the only reason... Hey, I got you. The only reason that won't feel as premier as it should feel would just be because like this maintenance has to be happening. So again, I committed to the daily messaging because I want to make sure that you guys have a check-in for me as much as possible. But yeah, so amazing, so wonderful. I mean, there's just huge investments coming in because your empire is complete, and your empire is an empire of feeling. Your empire is a vulnerable empire of love for all my artists out there, right, who are connected to our studio. So the people investing in the feeling space of what you have built, the real, true, I mean, just that coming in is just going to feel amazing. And it's also going to feel like it was always en route to you. I mean, like I said, me and Dennis, no matter what we've been through, which has been a lot, we've really been great at just realizing like, okay, all of this happens for our evolution, for our bigness, for our story, you know? I really celebrate the shit stains in my story. It was pretty much, I know people might think it's weird that I'm always so public about things that are like my flop era, but I do it because it's about the glory of how God like really exonerates my story. Like it is actually just because like, well, every trial and tribulation you face, when you do make it, that is the thing that people will know as like you overcame, you know, that is your truth. And so I have built my empire, and many of you are building your empires like where you don't feel now like you have to hold back any truth. And again, good boundaries at this time are going to be so helpful. Oh my God, because so much goodness is coming into you. Holy smokes. Exactly. It's exactly what I said it was. Okay, so your empire is done. This is beautiful. This is exactly where you want to be at this point in the summer. To be commanding, all my artist people out there, to be commanding your whole picture. This is also a conscious awareness that you are the emperor. No. You are the emperor. You get what I'm saying? And so to be able to be in the bigness of an emperor position, to really be in tune with what's up, what the levels are. I mean, just across the board, I feel like all of you are looking at the whole enchilada right now, which is amazing, right? Truly, truly never been done before. However, the most important thing that is being asked of us at this time this is what Spirit wants to know. You do need to do the emotional reinvestment thing. It means there are parts, like, so example, when an emperor looks at the crop yieldings, if you were a farmer and you're looking at your fucking almanac and you're looking at what your crops yielded and what areas and what levels and what production came back and yielded a profit, what didn't, this is like that. This is like, here's my farm. You already have done the whole year's worth of farming, right? On your fucking ranch. In your ranch, there's the stuff that fucking was busting, 2 of Cups behind you, and then there's the stuff that did not do well. So this is about taking that information about what was growing well, what isn't growing well. It's not about overjudging what doesn't do well, because anything that hurts, that fails, that feels painful, that wasn't successful, you now can disengage with. Because what I'm seeing here is like, you have a very good idea about like what actually is giving you the results that you really want in your empire. And so this is about how this Ace of Cups that comes from God mirrors that. But in order for you to even receive this Ace of Cups, you would really need to be deeply in tune with your 2 of Cups. You would need to know what was successful, you know, because all of us are going to face that right now. There are going to be things that are successful in our life and things that are not successful. But what I would tell you is, instead of just exacerbating like what's not working, just do the mature adult thing to be like, okay, what is working really well in my life? What is like growing in the direction that I'm intending for as the emperor of my own life? Because you're about to get your own individual Ace of Cups that's coming to you based on what is successfully working in your life for everyone, right? Connected to the studio. And you just want to be very careful that you didn't skip the 5 of Cups, because I think over the weekend, me and Dennis were just like really confused as to like, whoa, how does this 5 of Cups expect like emotional reinvestment situation? How does this have to do with anything? Like when we were going through it, it felt like this doesn't have anything to do with anything, until I came through the energy, right? And I kept working with it, and I was like, oh, well, it has everything to do with it, because you need to have clarity on what is unsuccessful and what is successful about your current now moment. Because when you get this Ace of Cups, you're also going to immediately attract in who you want to celebrate it. And I have a feeling with that this is a different group that will be celebrating you than the group that you were previously associating with. Because this Ace of Cups, I also feel like there's protection with it, right? Because look, in the 5 of Cups, these 3 cups split, so they're no good. So there's only 2 left. So then you're gonna get another one from Spirit, another Ace of Cups from Spirit, literally like tomorrow, and it's gonna bring you into a whole new community of celebrators, you know? And that's kind of what happened today, where it was like we had to like let go of the spilled cups, and then in came a different energy, third party energy, that was like able to really celebrate what Dennis is doing, right? Because over the weekend we were like really being hated on for like what we do, which it doesn't even matter. We're not going to overjudge anybody. You're not aligned to me, that doesn't matter. You don't have to like the shit I do, right? But the whole point is, when Spirit does give you a new Ace of Cups, it was just to make sure you knew that, like, I think you were about to celebrate with the people that wouldn't actually be the ones that are supposed to celebrate this big dawning moment for you. So I'm very grateful for the information that I got collected, and for the tower that had to like last minute fall, because especially if you're like about to do something big and then like something catastrophic happens before something you've been really like anticipating is coming through, just know every time that you will leave that situation knowing it was just it was your Ace of Swords that was coming down that was making that happen. And that's what I took away from it. It was like, well, at the end of the day, it is something I created. It is something I caused, right? It was just my truth that made this spill. So that's good to know, because there's a Knight of Pentacles that's coming in, and you just don't want to be giving your Knight of Pentacles frequency to things that just that would be hurt by your truth either way. Because again, we talked about yesterday, it's like, well, if they hate you when you're in your flop era, they're definitely not going to want to be around when you're fucking doing well, right? If you trigger someone when you're in your flop era, they're definitely not going to be good when you're not in your flop era, right? And I think what's crossing this is the Queen of Wands in reverse, right? Negative attraction, right? This is where this is what Spirit was saying. In order to no longer attract the things this is like the classic law of attraction frequency, where it's like, you know, Abraham Hicks always says this, is like, you can't focus on don't wants in order and think that that's the only way to truly stop aligning something or to stop magnetizing things that you like no longer want in your energy, is you really would have to reinvest in that which you do want. So even when I am going through things that are difficult for me to get through, what I always change the perspective to is like, what am I celebrating in my life? You know what I mean? Like Dennis just got a really positive feedback from like from this third-party institution that we really respect, and that was just like huge for us. And all I really put my energy on is, even if it has been really healing my heart to focus on the successes that are coming in at this time. It has really been healing my heart to be like, okay, shit, bro. But like Dennis once upon a time wasn't even like particularly putting himself on a musician path at all, and now his story can be used to show people that like that inside part of yourself, or like the internal musician, is something that will find you either way. You don't even have to do that. You don't even have to do anything particular to be put on your own path. And so when we got that reverberated, it really did validate where it's like, where you no longer align to this type of frequency, Nine of Swords, just because you actually are reinvesting that emotional energy into again, what is not spilling. And that would be the advice that I would have for like pretty much everyone at this time. Just because, again, nothing is going to move at this time if it doesn't move. Like nothing is going to really change if it doesn't change. And so again, your own sword of truth, there's nothing to run from, but you should really allow yourself to be in your Ace of Swords frequency. You should really allow yourself to be in the truth of what's going on, because most of what people could also be doing would just be band-aids. Like a lot of things don't fail for no reason. Things don't fall apart for no reason, right? Things don't become tense for no reason. Like, you know, none of that happens for not. Those are, you know, and that's why I say, like, so, you know, in the toxic positivity cycle where it's like people just don't want to ever feel pain, that's not godly, because God is both, again, destruction and creation. And so when we're talking about avoiding destruction, right, when we talk about like not wanting to like see things fall apart, you're gonna miss parts of life that are helping you stay in alignment. You get what I'm saying? So like for me, I really can say, like, it doesn't matter how heavy certain things get for me, they do always show me what my path is like. And I have learned in my later 20s to really, really embrace, almost more than when things are like copacetic for me, when things are not working out, because I will never forget in my bones the way something made me feel. And so when I know that I'm moving from that experience, it really helps me to align my frequency to be in the place of, you know, building and creating. Like when it feels like when I'm released from the cycle, I really know, like, I can't I will never come out of my sword suit, because that's like, you know, I was just looking back and sharing some beautiful memories on my Instagram today of just like, you know, different time periods, and I was like, damn, when that cycle comes back for me to have things again, and for me to be out in the world and to connect with people again, one of the things that I will really cherish is this cycle of like flopping and pain and having to just really just do the hard work of setting up boundaries, because my self-value is now connected to me again. It's not even that it increased, I'm just reconnected to my actual value again. So when I'm actually connecting to like what is valuable about me, I feel the need to protect that, you know, and I become my own paternal energy in doing that, and actually just like being and standing in like the reality of like, you know, I have something of value, and there are plenty of things that aren't aligned to that. And again, this is another thing in the study, it's like the studio will always tell you, you're not going to be for everything. Okay, even Tethered Studios, like, it's not about huge numbers of people, because I would rather this hit one person all the way down to their toes than a million people at just it satiating like 20 seconds of their memory. And that's why most people don't fuck with my content or fuck with what I do, because it's long form. And so you'd really have to be aligned. If you're misaligned to me and you're trying to like engage with my shit, it's just not gonna penetrate whatsoever. You know what I mean? So let's keep going. But that's beautiful, because it looks like I said, this Queen of Wands, what's crossing is like, I really don't want to attract a situation like this again, but you have to do something. And so not attracting to a situation like that would be like actually changing your attention. Like, you feel it to heal it, yes, but then you do need to reorient it, because there is a giant Ace of Cups coming for you. And so you should be so in love with your own empire at this point, if you've made something authentic, that you do actually just like dude, but I'm just focusing on what's going right. And I think many of you, I can tell, have made that switch. It doesn't matter from the Capricorn full moon to now, all the fallout, all the karmic, all the Mercury retrograde, whatever that's been coming through. Many of you are just getting back to like narrowing that, putting the bumpers up in the bowling lane, and just so you can, because you want to be able to continue to strike. The universe wants you to make a strike every bowl. It's the truth. They're not out to get you. Nothing is here to harm you. Anything that feels like it's coming against you is something for you to activate into, because you can protect yourself. Nothing has power over you. Nothing. There's nothing outside of you that has any power to fucking stop anything you want to get going that's on your birthright. And so this is where I'm here to give you the strength, because I'm going through this, but I'm also like I'm walking with you in that solidarity that like I had to make that change too. It's like a lot of things during the year of the snake are going to fall away. You're going to be shedding a new skin. You're going to be becoming just even more authentic throughout a year like now, especially a year 9. Which is amazing, but shedding skin can always feel painful if you're in resistance to it or you don't know that phenomena is going on. But with your new skin, you also want to protect it. You get what I'm saying? You also want to protect that you're very delicate at this time, that it may be like, sort of like deer sort of frequencies where you're like stumbling around trying to get your footing when you're in this new identity. But most importantly is like I said, the only real way to stop attracting the same negative things over and over again, or to stop attracting the same patterns, would used to be to actually emotionally reinvest into that which you really do desire to see coming. And so that's been the biggest thing, is like, that's why I'm back here trying to get this message out to you guys. That's why Dennis is like, no matter what, heal it, feel it, but then also like, you got to keep going on the things that are building, because nobody can get out of homelessness, right, without like focusing on like, what's your game plan, and we do have a game plan, but we also just got to make sure that like, no matter what comes, this will be the final test for me, because I can take the hardest pain and just, I know I really love Tethered Studios because I'm really still doing it, no matter what I feel. Exactly. This is so beautiful. This is so beautiful. This is so beautiful, because you need to have this, because this wants to come into you. So look, this is like what behind you. You need to put the boundary behind you, so that because you're about to be contacted in a crazy way. It's about to move very quickly, and it's about to be very fast, because you've already cleared all the space out for it, right? You have the emotion. You're ready. You're available for what is for you now. You're in that experience. You've already followed God's protection. And I told you, it's not even going to be a long time. The reason I got that PSA out when I did was like, put the blockers up now, because I'm telling you, when this comes in, I don't want any of the 8 of Wands to feel like a negative sensation, because there are still things that are residually like not being separated from your new experience, right? You don't want to continue to attract the same things that were part of like the skin you just shed into the current frequency of like what you're going through now. So big important guidance there. Let's see. Recent past. Spirit is also moving you forward, right? The King of Wands, right? Because you're trying to move, in the recent past, you were doing nothing but letting Spirit move you forward to the things that you really actually want to attract in. And then at the same time, it's the Queen of Wands that was doing this discernment of what is not doing that, what is not going to where you want to go. Doesn't matter how hard it is, release it. Remember, you're in the year of the snake, and be like, that's okay. I understand that we're not going to the same place. And that's the only reason that there's even fictitious energy. I'm not going to explain myself, because I'm just walking my path. We may not be walking the same path, but I do know that the only reason that it would be hurtful right now or spill over, feel negative, is if we're just not going to the same place. And so in the recent past, your divine masculine has really been making sure that we can move forward, while the divine feminine is doing a lot of that, like realigning what's coming to you via shifting focus. So it's the union that's really helping right now, because the divine masculine, I feel like the divine masculine is the one showing that like things are moving forward, and the divine feminine is the one that is like dealing with like, we need to like disengage from one community and re-engage to be open to the new community that you're about to receive, and is like kind of like laying down the law of divine truth. So it's a beautiful, beautiful frequency. Yeah, and then at the top we have the Page of the Cups in reverse with the Ace of Pentacles. Okay, that's what I want to say. It's like the Page of Cups reverse is just like emotional. It's just like emotional immaturity. And a lot of times when you're about to bring in something that's fucking massive, you tend to get that fucking like, really, this is so like. This is like throwing a fit over Ace of Pentacles. This is like someone trying to distract you from like what's really about to happen. So lock the fuck in right now and stay on the fucking, stay on the course of like, big things are coming to me, and I don't need to because also I think too, some of you have to really do your healing journey a lot more honor than what you've given it, because some of you have been through way harder than what was coming up even just now, when like your Ace of Pentacles is really being like given to you or supported or shared with you. And so part of the biggest thing that I would say is, with the Page of Cups is it really was a lot smaller. You know, when I think about it, it's just like, okay, that's just someone's emotional whatever. Or that's just like, it's not actually something that could destabilize you. Like, Spirit would not allow anything really to destabilize it, because you only get an Ace of Pentacles if you are, in fact, have deserved a new beginning from God, a physical new reality from God. So again, this is the thing, is like, when this Page of Cups, when this type of like outburst, emotional immaturity, like, you know, this is also like the gaslighting of your intuition. These are things that want to make you not think that what you think is coming to you is coming to you. When that distraction comes, it's like, this is literally, it's like, block it out. And it's like, whatever, it doesn't even matter, you know? And that will help you, because again, you have way too much evidence now of like what is moving forward, what is right in front of you, what is like actually on your path, and like it's too grounded, it's too down the birthing canal. You already know where you're going, you already know what's happening, it's already been revealed, you already have the evidence of it. So it should be easier for you to not also, you know, because this is a big thing for me. One of the things that I also have to worry about is like, I'm super into the feeling it to healing it aspect, but also like there are some things that are not proportionate. So it's like, you have to make sure that at the same time, when you're doing your healing work, that if it's also not proportionate to like how much you're building, and it can only be allotted so much time. Like, I've started doing this thing, you know, especially when Dennis and I are doing our longer walks, or when we're doing like, you know, our health regimen. A lot of our health regimens also are about like resetting a big aspect, more so of like an empire's worth of like what's going on. So we don't just use a walk to just like hyper focus on like one thing or another. So sometimes I'm like, okay, it's been 5 good minutes of this walk, like I'm gonna like let myself like really feel and communicate and speak my truth, but to not get caught in the vortex of like constantly like overly like, this just happened to me, this just happened to me, this just happened to me. Like, once you feel it, like, you know, you felt it, and just know that like your heart is now going back towards the healing of the frequency. And that can be really helpful too, that not ruminating, because it truly, like, it really won't matter. Like, it really truly, like, when the Ace of Pentacles comes, like, it really will just like disconnect you from whatever, and I think it will help you see how much you have done the work to not be connected to certain things that would residually cause you pain in your past life. Like, again, like today when we received the blessing about like how wonderfully acknowledged Dolphin Boy Records was today, it just like felt like right. It just kind of showed you, like, sometimes when you're on a long-term journey of like changing a scenario or changing something in your life, you don't always see how much progress you've done. And so sometimes when you get those Ace of Swords outside of you that are like, yo, like, here's the truth of how we see you now, it's like, oh, okay, great. So we have made the progress we need. Because I know for me and Dennis, like, we do a high value of work, but it's only between 2 people, and it's always just like an echo chamber of like what's good and what's going on. And so again, just really helpful tidbits that I would say at this time would really support you, because that's a non-negotiable. Your High Priestess, your Divine Feminine, is like very much like, this is exactly that. It's just so beautiful. In the near future, you're about to have an angel appear on your path. literally angelic frequency is going to come on your path. You know, the Temperance Angel, to rehabilitate your situation, the ability to have something angelic come and support you into a new experience. Really positive frequency. Really positive. Honest to goodness, it's a really positive frequency. Right. And this to me sounds like the root of where the Page of Cups in reverse was coming from. It would just be the folks, again, that, you know, Saturn and Aries can also just feel like hell on earth, because if you have not recognized that like your life is for you to, the structures of your life are for you to build yourself. Like, there's no one to do it for you. Like, if you want something, if you have something, you've got to hold the good karma, you've got to be the person to conceptualize it, and then you have to be the person to make sure that there's nothing that gets in the way from what it is that you want. And it's really just a you thing. And so a lot of people they're not done with cycles, and they have to get enlightenment about like the chaos that you might be experiencing is because you have not graduated the cycle, right? But it isn't for you to then take this discombobulated energy and do anything for someone who has graduated under their cycles and straightened out their poop in their group, you know? But that's what I'm getting. Is like, people would be definitely getting the enlightenment. They're like, oh, I just haven't closed the cycle yet. Because that, you know, and use this Mercury retrograde to do that, you know? And to stand firm. And it's like, the only reason you would be feeling like, because unfortunately with warring frequencies, with always being combative, that's an indication of an individual who thinks that the point of life is like to fight or compare, and it's not. There's no one to compare to. You are a one-of-one energy signature. No one on this planet is here to do the same thing as you. No one on this planet is here to no one can copy you. No one can replicate what your divine birthright is. And so a lot of times, this is also a big PSA, because there are certain structures or parts of society that, you know, we think are good things, or there are even parts of arts and culture that we think are good structures, but aren't really that great, you know, that maybe more so enable us always trying to like compare instead of like just carving our own path, you know. There are ways that we can, you know, become codependent, or we can rely on things or enmesh our story, or even just like I said, a lot of times like you might want something for yourself, but because of a lack of faith that you could do that for on your own, you might think like, oh, I'll just go get a bunch of people, or connect with a bunch of people to try to get my goals. And I think at this time that kind of comes to a head with the Wheel of Fortune in reverse and the Hangman in reverse. It looks like the wheel is turning for some people, and I don't think that it's expected. I don't think that there was like an anticipation, but it is one directly related to karma. So like, watch what you put out, because I feel like it came back very instantly type of frequency, and it has people like in a fit, like, oh, it's like your life got flipped, turned upside down. And I don't think that people understand like where that root would be coming from, but it would just be coming from the fact that it's like it's like you have to understand at some point that like some of these dreams you have, they are just for you, and this is where I said you've got to start being okay with, in the age of the Aquarian, being an individual. If you want something for yourself, you have to like really just like build what it is you want for you, because a lot of people will be like, oh, some people feel like they're an artist, but maybe you don't feel like you can do that on your own. So then maybe instead of just like showing up in your artistic talent or ability, you make a collective. We see this all the time, right? We see a lot of people who like, dude, you could just like, there's like one star in the collective, or there's like one person in the band that has like the star frequency, and you can always see that. You take the Beatles, right? Like, it's like each of them wanted to, I feel like in a lot of ways, just be what they had, because in the end it just ended up being their individual legacy, right? But then it's like working together was like probably a lot more atrocious, even with whatever they got. Like, I mean, the only thing, we don't need anything from the Beatles. I mean, thanks for the albums, but like, we don't need anything from the Beatles, because it was, I mean, when you ask Paul, like, how's your life? Like, I mean, it's only, all you leave with is how good it actually felt to like produce all this stuff. Because again, we don't need any one thing from any artist. But again, if it was always like, damn, every time we were trying to get together, it was always this clash of egos and that's going to be an indication that like there's personal cycles that you have to do just for you. This is about you. And when we think like, oh, like we all want to get this done, or we all want the same thing, that's the issue. It's like some things you have to be okay that God will call you to do your thing for you as an individual. So it's just things like that to say. And like, one of the things that I really love about me and my husband is like, Dolphin Boy Records is his soul's work. Tethered Studios is my soul's work. We try to be an example of that. It's like, we have our own goals about what we want to build. And then you can see that because there's natural cosmic synergy between me and my soulmate, because we mirror each other, of course his music label and my media studio can really support one another, right? But through walking their individual work and having to get it done. Like, Dennis at the end of the day is like, Dennis, if you want to be the biggest label out, you gotta have the best releases on your shit. And I can't just, I can't do that for him. He can't just be like, oh, Alexis, like, please help me finish, because that's his dream. It's not my dream to run a music label. It's his dream to run a music label. You get what I'm saying? Just like it's not his dream to be like a fucking media conglomerate and fucking do a newscaster frequency. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily his dream to do that. But if that's my dream, like, I feel like a lot of y'all are dealing with that right now, where it's like you might have been, doing the group association, where it's like, it might be your dream to do something, but you've got to complete it. It's an individual thing that you want to do. And so a lot of you might be you might be like fighting the people around you because they're not fucking finishing your dream for you, but you got to finish your dream for you, because that's all you're going to be doing is like in the pits of hell, fucking, hey, wait, why aren't you, you know what I mean? And so there's just something, this just would be my word of advice, because it's not easy, Tether Studios wasn't just a sentence. It was just a fucking Google Doc that I started one day, you know what I mean? And it's been 5 beautiful years now, and it's not overnight, and we're not even done. We haven't gotten started in so many ways, But at the end of the day, one of the things that I have to know is that I have to be okay with me being the CEO of it. I have to be okay with me being the person that's like owning all of it. And yeah, it also means you're gonna be held accountable. People are gonna push back. People are gonna ask you like, why do you do this? What are your beliefs here? But you will get so much more sovereignty knowing that, like, because like I said, today when Dolphin Boy Records was affirmed in such a beautiful, cool way, it went all to my husband. It was like the project that was being highlighted was really authentic. It was like him bare, but it was like, it was titty me. He's like, it was Mulan like nah. So it was a very authentic, raw version of him, and he put that seed in there. So the album in and of itself gave credit to him, but then also just like where the fact that it got released under the label gets credit to him, and then the label that he built was being credited off. So it all goes back to one person. So I just tell you, you're gonna feel so much better when the things that you really want to do, you break through that insecurity and you actually like let yourself just be the person that actually like does it for you. Because when it is time for you, it's not gonna be able to, like I said, Dolphin Boy Records had to get through 55 albums before anybody's even sharing his shit anywhere. You know what I mean? In a lot of ways. And that can be whatever, but you gotta, if it's your purpose, you love what you do. It's not about the external whatever. It was 55 albums of his work filling him up for years. Now when you move from that understanding, it's like, well, if I love something, someone outside of me could love it. When you understand it, so within, so without. Now, when it's time for those things, I want to give light at the end of the tunnel. That it will feel way better when someone gives, like, whenever one of my films gets acknowledged, it's like, that's gonna feel amazing because it's a one-man show over here, you know, me, you know. And so that's what I really want you guys to be excited about. So even if you do find yourself in this world card hanging in reverse, 5 of Wands, fucking calamity, the only reason you're being grouped together with all these people that are like fighting, bickering, struggling, blah, 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 it's because you guys have something in common. The thing you have in common is you haven't finished a personal cycle yet. You have a personal thing you need to do for you. Spirit is trying to bring to you that you have to do something for you. You need to get yourself together because your dreams aren't off. I think some of you are feeling like, what the fuck, man? Like, I just have honest dreams and I'm trying to work hard. But yeah, you gotta serve yourself first. It's not even about, it's not a day job thing, it's not anything. You got to take care of yourself and give yourself a full cup first. It has to be the number one thing. Before you give to anyone else, you got to make sure, and this is not money. This is not, again, another thing. Kill the consumers, kill the slave master, kill the fucking inner slave. You have to get rid of all that stuff because that's not what your value is. You know, waking up and just knowing like, hey, I got to speak lovingly to myself. Hey, I deserve, if you have trauma or things that need advocacy, that's another way to show self-love. Being like, hey, you know what, my self-love, now that I'm whatever age I am, I realized when I was 14 and my babysitter touched me or whatever, you know, my cousin did this to me or whatever, it's going back for those versions of you and being like, yo, I didn't deserve that shit. And then giving yourself the closure that you may not be getting from anyone else. You know what I mean? Sorry, right? Those are ways that a lot of people, you know, when people think of self-love, they just think of like, what can I buy myself today? Or what can I give myself? Or how can I treat myself? You don't always need a treat. Sometimes you need like honesty, sometimes you need visibility, sometimes you need advocacy, sometimes you need people to like know your truth, you know what I mean? And those things are really, I would say, for just people who get corralled into this frequency, like, because I said it just kind of might feel like you're always, right now, if you haven't done the accountability work, personal accountability work, you're going to get grouped in with all the people who haven't done personal accountability work, because you're being separated from the people who are accountable, because the people who do account for themselves have been like, okay, no judgment, it's okay if you're tweaking out, but I'm not on that. I've healed past that. I don't want to keep repeating cycles like that because I've already learned that lesson. So you're not going to be with people anymore that like aren't doing that. You're not. It's going to be very apparent that like me and everyone around me has not finished our own. We haven't graduated something within ourselves because that's the only way to get to the next level of these. Because I think again, a lot of New Age spirituality also promotes people to over talk about manifestation. I want to manifest this. I want to manifest this. I want to manifest this. And that is a lie from the pit of hell because manifestation also has a lot to do with Kabbalistic knowledge. Okay, so a lot of things have to come down the tree of life before they can enter into Malkut. So a lot of people right now, when you get on TikTok, you get on the New Age spirituality bullshit, and you're like, man, I'm trying to just manifest some big thing. Everything needs a process, you know, not everything. It's, again, this is where Jeff Bezos needs to go to hell. Amazon is like the worst structure for things. Nothing should really just show up in 24 hours. And if it does, you need to be deeply connected. That had to go to a fucking warehouse, and it had to get shipped, and it had to get packaged, and it had to go through so many hands just to get to you. And so many consumers don't realize that. They just know the end result of like, it's here now. And they don't have to connect with the person who had to drive overnight to give that to you, or the plane or the freight train that had to bring that to you, right? And so I think that's where you might be getting grouped in right now, where it's like you and the people around you might not have, you all are going to be exacerbating the same wound that you can't, because you don't get to go through the portal unless you are enlightened about what you need to do next. And then you actually have to do it, right? Saturn and Aries. So just wanted to get that little shit ski out. Right ski. And again, the Leo new moon is what I feel like the High Priestess has been really gauging, because for that new moon, so many things are ready. It was just always like timing wise, right? It's always gonna be ready. So there are some people that like, it is time for something. It's time for certain people to graduate, but there is a separation of the worlds right now where it's like, you're not going to graduate though if you haven't actually like if you haven't evolved your soul. So if your soul's still looping on the same stuff and it hasn't done the work to get out of the loop, then the Leo new moon for you might be realizing like the psychic intuitive part of you was like, this was the moon that spirit was trying to, because I talk about it all the time. A lot of people like will put their spirituality on the back burner, a lot of people don't take care of their metaphysical health until the very last second, right? And I know it always sucks because the very last second is when it tends to feel 5 of Wands, when it feels like most people, it's something like it keeps people stuck in the hood, right? Like, you drive around with your check engine light on, and then of course when like you say your car explodes or some shit, or I don't know, like, it can be anything that you procrastinate on. It's like whenever we procrastinate on things, it's like it isn't until it blows up that we want to get to it. But this new moon in Leo is the portal where it's like, you would have really been free to go to the fifth dimension. You really would have been able to just go and get your birthright. But there are a lot of people that are realizing right now, it's like they're tied up and they can't go through the portal. That the high priestess was trying to tell you, bro, get ready, make some plans, get ready, because I think this is spiritual work. And so spiritual work, you can't trick the universe. The universe knows how many years you've been committing to yourself. It's not going to be something where it's like, oh shit, everybody's about to get a blessing. Let me like hurry up and turn around and fix it. Because you're not going to be able to lie to God. You're not going to be able to, you're not just seen when you're presenting your mask. You're seen, God is specifically looking at you when it's hard, when you feel backed into a corner, when you feel victimized, when you have a lot on your plate. God is looking at how you treat yourself and others during those times specifically, because that's going to tell us whether or not you get the key, whether you get the blessing to move forward. Right? So a lot of y'all would judge me because of how like I live holistically, but I know this. Me and Dennis have had to wait for years. Wait, while other people get to go ahead, while other peers, other artists go ahead. And we had to wait, and it was not quick. I walked thousands and thousands of miles with nothing to my name, And a lot of you can see that I had a lot at one point, right? So it's like, again, it's one of those things where it's like, you have to really be in your integrity. You can't, God doesn't fucking, you can't just be an actual bozo and put a mask on it and think you're fooling anyone. Every deed you do is recorded. Every lie you tell is recorded. Every dishonest action, every bad seed of karma that you put out is recorded. I really don't want anybody to keep thinking that you're not being witnessed. I don't want to tell y'all what to believe in, but you are definitely witnessed by the highest intelligence. And so, however that looks for you, however you connect to a higher power, there is something that is always seen. How do you think there is divine law and order? There is divine justice always going on. What do you think karma is? It's a phenomenon that is bigger than all of us. And it is delivering indiscriminately to people based on how you really show up all the time, right? And so, I just want people to be very aware at this time that it's like, if you really are someone that like you had to wait till Judgment Day when the shit collapsed, and that's why I made this studio, because while people were heckling me and it wasn't cool 3 months ago when I was telling y'all during the Gemini moon, I was like, yo, Scorpio full moon, I was like, yo, like start paying attention to stuff, People were staying in the same routines. And again, a lot of people make deals with the devil. A lot of people will make deals with the devil, and those things just get collected on. It's not even the devil's fault. But if you want to take shortcuts in life, those are usually the things that get collected on the fastest. And I could just tell you that. Trust me, I've been there, bro. I've tried to fucking skirt around it. And no, because it's not a punishment. The whole point is about you actually evolving into something different so that your life actually keeps going forward. So you'll realize once you wake up a little bit more that there's nothing to hide. There's nothing to... Oh, he's good. There's nothing to like really... You get what I'm saying? There's no corner to cut, really, is what Spirit wants to say. Right? Because Leo New Moon... Many of you feared this. Many of you, again, and like I said, a lot of you, if you're people of color and you come from communities who have history and lineages where like there was enslavement or there was colonization that has put your people in a fixed energy, many of you were taught to fear King of Pentacles. You were taught to fear the top abundance, the best you could have, right? And that stems largely from, again, just because the person with the most money for people of color was massa. It was like the white man, the white supremacist, right? And so the issue with that is, now many of you are trained to like hate abundance, and you don't, because if you still believe like certain things are for other people, like if you really walk around and you're like, oh no, I'm not someone that deserves, like it's not for me to have like good money, or I'm not someone that, I don't get, then that internalized limitation is why you're gonna fear the shit out of this Leo New Moon. And it's why nothing comes, because all that was really supposed to come to you, the Leo New Moon, was your own King of Pentacles. You were supposed to, because if this comes outside of you, it's because you are this internally, right? And so like I said, you got to go through every test. There's nothing to change. Even me, who feels like I passed a million tests, Spirit, I don't think I deserve this. I still had to go through it. I still had to show Spirit, because you can't play God. God will tell you when you passed it. You don't get to just be like, I passed it already. I swear, I'm already earned this. I'm accountable, or I communicate well. No, because if God brings another test to you and you don't really pass it, then you haven't really fucking aced it. You know what I mean? And so I'm grateful for this passage of time for me, specifically right before this new moon, because it really showed me like, holy shit, I have really changed. I am really a different person than I used to be. And that's a blessing. And in fact, not just a different person, a better person than I used to be. Because it would take self-awareness to be like, I don't like the way that I used to live. I don't like the person that I used to be, right? I don't like the way that I used to give to people. I didn't like the way that I was selfish and narcissistic. And I didn't like the way that I used to always just like give the least to myself. I didn't like the way that I would just wear a mask around. And it took being like, I need to change that. And it was, for me, it was hard shit, bro. I lost my best friend, and it was a very humiliating and public thing. Everybody knowing about like the hard drugs we do and shit. And it's just like, not good. You know, so there's a lot of public things, and I don't wish that for anybody. I don't want anybody to have to get to a place where like somebody has to die, or like, you know, you get fucking outed, or, you know, you do something fucking out of character. You know, I don't want you to have to get to that point just to realize like you should transform and keep changing. You know, I give these words and I give these messages so that people can just like do it, because the universe will fuck around and fucking nudge you. You know what I mean? If you need a certain trigger happening to like knock down certain towers and whatnot. So I speak candidly. I use my transformation and like what I'm doing, because I'm not even chosen. I'm not even like God's strongest. I'm just someone who like wants to do something about their life. You know, I want it to be better, 4444, but I didn't come from anything really particular. And so if I wanted a better quality of life, it was just going to be requiring me to like stretch, evolve, grow, change, whatever. Because, you know, you can just stay where you are and you don't have to, you know, it can just be what it is. You don't have to be like any type of way. But again, that is definitely like seems like the frequency and the messaging that's like coming through. Yeah, super amazing. Contract coming in. Contract coming in. Contract coming in. Contract coming in. Super beautiful. Super beautiful. Super well deserved, right? But the contract comes in through a Knight of Swords. And what I want to remind you of, the reason why you were separating yourself from dishonesty and non-integrity at this time, is because if you can't discern truth and if you don't embody truth holistically, then you cannot receive a contract that is true for you, because you're still living in deception. You are still living in dishonesty. And so this is why many people see the portal opening and they feel like I can't even go through it. Why? What the fuck? And it can make you like tweak out. I'm telling you, it could be a hard time, you know, for many people at this time, because it's just like you will be grouped with a lot of people who also aren't able to like walk through their own portal, and that can feel, you know, disorienting or whatever, limiting in certain ways, because it will almost just be like, there goes my truth with my contract, and it's walking up. And trust me, it'll come back around, but you'll just have to wait till. That's what I say is like, you know, you don't know when the divine brings things back around. What's for you can never miss you, but at the same time, I have had to watch my blessings walk out on me when I was not ready. I had not evolved fast enough. I had not, you know, I've missed many a portal. Trust me, I've missed many opportunities that I wasn't ready for, you know. So I'm really grateful at this time, because every time I get a heads up from the universe, every time, you know, I study the astrology and it's like, there's a new portal coming, there's going to be a new opportunity coming, I make sure to try to align my steps, because I really don't want to keep missing out. You know, I've been homeless for a minute, you know what I mean? It hasn't been like a short period of time. So that would be my advice for you. You can't miss what's for you, but you can't avoid the work either, you know, because you know, a lot of people think like new stuff doesn't require new versions of yourself. Again, I use the analogy of my mother with her home. You know, you can move into a new home, but if you don't have a new home in yourself and you just self-willed that, then you're going to move into this new home and it's not going to feel any different than every home you've ever lived in. How come the home you live in now feels just like the fucking cot you used to sleep on at your sister's house back in the day? You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. It's like the real thing, anything that has value actually is just a reflection of your internal value. So you can handle your way to getting something new or shiny, or like giving, you know, you can get a possession outside of you, but that possession will represent how you feel. So it's like a lot of things, like you could go buy the new Birkin, the new Goyard bag, right? And you can self-will that. But if you have a low sense of self-value, then even that Goyard bag over time is going to reflect negativity. It's going to reflect like, it's not going to feel valuable to you. You get what I'm saying? And that's just something I've had to walk through many, many hard, slow times. Many times. Many times. I've had to go through things like that. So I would just let you know that this portal is amazing, because many of you, like I said, congratulations. Knight of Swords, the truth is coming to you, because it finally can come to you, because you're actually aligning to it. You're not lying to yourself anymore. You're like actually fucking in your truth. Like, oh yeah, no, that is true. I know what contract's for me. I know my destiny. Because until you're aware of it, nothing true can come to you. If you're still living in falsity, nothing true can come to you. Whoa, exactly. I'm telling you, we started this message, I was like, you know why the tower came, because it's like the tower came to hurry up and get you to emotionally, last minute, we don't want you to miss it. I feel it, like, as much as I told you, I was like, some of these weekends that we've been having since the Capricorn full moon, I know what happened was negative, but you actually will remember it as the best time in your life, because that was the tower that needed to come down, because you keep missing portals you're supposed to go through. And this time Spirit was like, I'm not going to let you miss this portal. I'm going to make you shake off the thing that you need to shake off, because it's like not true. And once you finally, and it might hurt you, but once you shake it off, you're actually going to be able to go through the portal. And then today, Dennis and I woke up with the affirmations like, holy shit. Thank God we set the boundary. Thank God we let go of whatever we need to let go of. Because at the end of the day, it was hard, it was painful, it had to be transmuted, whatever. But at the same time, towers are always towers. If there's something that can fall, it was always going to fall. So, you know, it is what it is, because but with our new understanding of death over on the channel, we know death is just the beginning, truly. Death is the portal you go through to get a beginning. If you want something new, you're going to die for it. Every time you want new life, you're going to have to die to the old one, right? Exactly, right? Because this is about the Queen of Wands. It's like, I want new energy. I want to be attracting new intuitive things. I want people who follow because again, I was in a cycle of unrequited love, attracting narcissistic energy for a long time, and I couldn't get out of it. I didn't understand why. But it was because I needed to really, really meditate on my truth. I really needed to meditate on what is honestly true for me as a person, without glazing myself, without fucking being like, well, society tells me to care about my family. Like, for me, the truth is like, my soul's path really doesn't have much to do with my birth community and my birth family, so I had to let it all go. It doesn't mean that they're bad people, it doesn't mean anything, but they're not really walking the same path as me. That's fine. It doesn't have to make anybody a villain. It's just like, as long as I'm not confused trying to bring things onto my path that aren't walking the same path as me, then I'll be good to go. So it took a lot of walking away from old things that you were having to fill up in order for this new Knight of Cups to come your way, and your Queen of Wands, because if the Queen of Wands is in reverse, that means her boundary is down. That means she's telling you what she does not want to attract. So she's focusing on what she does. So this Knight of Cups is coming to this Queen of Wands because she wants to be, this would be an invitation you want, not an invitation you don't want, right? And the moon frequencies, right, were, you want to have these boundaries up come the Leo new moon, so you can just be free to like fucking pack it up. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that you can just do the full thing. So you can just go, there's not a cloud in this person's sky. You get what I'm saying? There's not. You don't want any cloud in your sky. You don't want any confusion in your sky. So deal with the moon. I told y'all on the 18th, deal with the moon. Deal with what is under the surface. Deal with what is hidden. Deal with the subterfuge. Deal with the, whatever. Because ultimately, it's not even about, and deal with it in light and love. Deal with it without projecting it anywhere. Just clear it up, because it's like, look, my goal is just because I want my new beginning to feel good. That's it. That's the reason why I move the way I do. That's the reason I transmute pain that I get. Look at this shit, bro. Recent past. Use your ace of sword. Look, use your sword of truth. Look, in the recent past, there was deception that tried to come to you. Spirit's going to move you forward. Do the work to move forward by remeditating on what is truly for you. Anytime something comes deceptive is a great time for you to just be like, what is true? I'm touching my husband, it's like, that's true for me. And so sometimes even when I didn't have a clear path of like how to get over what I went through this weekend. I didn't have a clear path of like, how do I get out of this mess? Spirit was like, you're not a mess. That's the point. You're not a mess. This is not your mess. So what you need to do is just go forward. And I did. And that's good. And it's good. It's good. It's like I'm not trying to add anything to anybody's plate. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm not even trying to change my routine. I'm not trying to nothing. I'm just going to move forward, because I do have Six of Cups, because I have been in this position for a long time. I know what my personal cycle is. I know I have done my karmic time. I've done my karmic time. I've done my part. I have become a better person. I have realized that I can't just be a piece of shit. And that was on me. I've had my ass handed to me year after year for some time now. I know what self-hate feels like. I know what depression feels like. I know what confusion feels like. I know what lying to myself feels like. So I have really mastered that. So if you've truly mastered that, then you won't even vibrate with this. This will come up to you and you'll be like, I'm going the other direction. Because I want to move forward. I don't want to do the confusion. I'm not confused about my life. And that's where that sovereignty of the age of the Aquarian has to come in. You know what I'm saying? I tell myself, it's not going to be an hour. It's not going to be an hour. But it is. And then look. 10 of Pentacles. You get what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You understand? This is coming to you. This is why Spirit triggered this little tower really quickly. Where it was like Page of Cups, like trying to just fucking a little manipulation. Just because it was just a little test. It was just to get you to see if like, are you actually going to not focus on the 10 Pentacles that are like gunning after you? Of course not. Because I feel like Spirit already showed you that was coming down right now. Does that make sense? So you already knew that this was coming. So it should have been fairly easy to not ruminate. Because you should also, if you've really done the work and you're really ready to lead something as big as an empire, you should also not be trying to ruminate, because you're too valuable for that. I'm not ruminating on anything. I'm processing it as I feel it. Oh yeah, totally. I'm processing things as I feel it. And then boom. And I'm not going to keep going back over it. I don't got to paint nobody, because you got, for people like me, people like online in my studio, the best is really coming for you, because you built it, not because I'm just like, oh my god, somebody's gonna come out of the sky and save us. No, you like made a pathway. You know what I mean? This earth angel that comes to you with their truth, it's because you made a pathway for them to come. You let go of a lot of things, so you can just be complete. Look, Chariot is coming. Chariot is coming. This is beautiful, bro. This is so beautiful, bro. But I did the full transparency thing so you guys know I can both give you the guidance, but I can only give you the guidance because I'm like literally administering the medicine to myself first. Yeah. But the reason that I'm ready to move forward with my truth, and I'm actually, look, this is finally like, I'm ready. The car pulls up and it's like, God's like, are you ready to go? And it's like, yes, for once, I'm balanced, I'm tempered, and I'm standing with my truth. And I have nothing else but my truth in my hand. Now you can get in the car. And it was always going to be Leo new moon frequencies. Holy shitski. Yeah, the way that landed, right? So again, the separation of the world. The spirit will put the same amount of work on everyone's plate, right? There's to get from what you want, from where you are to what you want, there's going to be just 8 pentacles, right? There's just going to be work you have to do personally, not for nothing to project, just your personal work you got to do. And I'm not talking about, a lot of you are thinking in terms of capitalism. I'm not talking about your day job. I'm talking about work on evolving the person you are. And if you have not done that, then that you're just going to stare at the portal be open. You get what I'm saying? You might intuit that something is coming, but it's like, this is where your real position is. Because 8 of Pentacles is distinguishment. It's when someone's at the 8 of Pentacles, they are like, really, they've done a lot, you know? So at this time, I also want people to realize that like spirit is trying to like do some healthy like gatekeeping by being like, we do need to get back to like away from the age of Pisces where it was like, you know, people who haven't done that much can just like get rewards that they really haven't done, versus like, it was really hard because there are people who've done astronomical things, right? When you look at like a, what is his name? Quincy Jones. Right? When you look at Quincy Jones, just through and through, pretty big career, did a lot, big status, was able to leave his kids some huge generational wealth, you know what I mean? Even set up other souls to like have their own independence. Right? I'm just using Quincy Jones as an example. So, big guy. But if you take a Quincy Jones and the assets he has, and then you maybe take like a streamer who maybe in just the last 2 years has maybe amassed similar amounts of wealth because of like their ability, what Spirit's going to do with this is like, you know, this is the place where like Quincy Jones was able to sustain a career throughout his whole lifetime, right? And that's very different than like being able to like tap into a new like exponential market, right? So the levels of personal work from a Quincy Jones to like a streamer with, you know, hella bands is like just that, you know, they could still be like 22 trying, you know, and that and it's not, no disrespect to taking away like what you've earned, but this is a different type of currency. It's not just like, it's like how long you're able to sustain working and evolving your soul over time to build something over time. And so this is Spirit's way of like telling people like, it's not even just a money thing. It's not even just a like asset thing. It's not even like about how fast you can get stuff, because the real people who are ready to go through portals evolve themselves, you know, into something over time. And so that's just like the analogy they told me to like show. It's like, you know, by the time you die, you know, when you really know you've amassed a 10 of Pentacles, it would just be because to have a career like that where it's just like you were abundant through and through. I'm not saying the life was easy every day, but I'm saying like the overview of your life was that you were able to really command the wealth that you were bringing in, would just be, it was indicative of this person's soul evolution, you know? And then that's why they die as like someone who really did represent and amass like what it takes, like, you know, they're like a hero for people, you know, people just like, you know, there's like those people who died that like nobody has beef with, you know what I mean? Like nobody's mad at Tina Turner, you know what I mean? Like nobody's mad at her. She didn't do nothing to nobody but other than like work on herself, you know? Like Aretha. Nobody, you know what I mean? It's like nobody's like Natalie Aretha Franklin, like, you know what I mean? At the end of the day. So some more just tidbits on like why, like, it's not even a punishment that you are in this place, but I also feel like the High Priestess tried to tell you that. Like, I feel like the High Priestess, you also have to take that you're in this place and you don't get to go through the portal right now, because you were definitely warned 8 times. Like, Spirit has been, like, it's not like, you know, this is where people can't also wait up for you. Like, your anxiety is, like, your own right now, because we were all given the same shot to, like, you know, we all live in the world. Like, you can act like the world isn't changing outside of you and just be, like, in your eat, poop, shit, fart, do the same karmic bullshit every day. But, like, you know, not being empathetic that there are wars going on, so you still live your consumerist bullshit life. Like, you can't actually still be supporting, like, billionaires that are actually the reason you're still so poor and the reason you have to work a fucking day job. Poor people don't even realize this, right? You know, you guys keep Jeff Bezos' pockets gouged. You know what I mean? Like, you keep this shit. You guys keep his shit, like, it's like, whew. He's like able to amass so much wealth, and some of you don't even realize, like, consumers habits, like, you know, some of the places you support, some of the places you shop, things like that, you know, they directly contribute to, like, why, like, life is painful for you as, like, a have-not class. Because, again, if you still serve capitalism, and especially if you're poor in capitalism, you're dicking yourself sideways. You know, you should be dreaming and using your imagination to think of a system outside of it, you know? And again, there's a lot of different countries, like in my own home country, like in America, like obviously like the education rates are so low. So many people aren't really educated, so they don't really understand that. And they're just being taken advantage of. Another reason I do the work that I do in an embodied way, because, you know, I did seek education because like school was for me, but I'm also someone who's like always trying to educate people. I'm always trying to like let you know, like, dude, the reason you can't get above water, the reason you can't get out of some of the stickiness is just because, like, you know, you are technically supporting, like, pure evils. Like, you know, some of the stuff that y'all do is, like, actually, like, supporting people to keep you disenfranchised, to keep you, like, as a slave, you know? This is where it does matter where your vote goes, you know? You can be a brown person or a black person supporting Donald Trump, but if you're from a certain demographic, or if you don't even have, like, legal status, citizenship, like, you have to know that your parties and your politics have to actually support the life you really live. There's never supposed to be one party. We're supposed to always just have elections and see what the majority of people and where they really are. And that's how we set up a democracy. So we shouldn't really be there shouldn't be so much back and forth, because it's supposed to be free hands off. You either vote or you don't vote, because you have your own right to. You either align with the candidate or you don't. But no more of this persuading people to just, like, the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, that shit's cooked. Because people can either align with democracy, align with democratic politics, align with libertarianism, align with conservatism, align with the shit, or not. But you just want people to be honest. We don't, you know what I'm saying? That's why it's like, even when I look at a political candidate, I was like, well, we've never not had a fucking shithole president. I don't know what president y'all remember that was lit, but we've never had one in America, you know? Just in terms of, like, helping with systemic issues. I think a lot of us want systemic things to be changed because we've only had presidents that really serve white supremacy and the capital structure that we have. However, many people take the wrong approach. I mean, like, Donald Trump is being honest in, like, what his beliefs are. Like, he aligns with the fucking demographic that he actually is, and then he only gives politics from that place. Because that's really what democracy, until we can think of a better system, that's all it's going to really do. Because even if you get a black man in there, you know, even if you get Barack or Kamala or Joe, right, even if you get a different party, they're only going to speak to what they represent too. You know what I'm saying? So you just have to understand, like, that's why you can't, you know, use your brain, use your head. You just make sure you're, like, voting and putting your money and putting your dollar towards things that actually will support your life. Because I just think that, like, a lot of this, like, fear of the moon and fear of, like, the Ace of Cups is because you're very used to being tied up. You're very used to, like, being, you know, in the slavery paradigm where you've been, like, told that, like, you know, things don't come for people like us. And that's not true. That's just supporting a system that you're too scared to, like, buck up against. But you really do have to, like, if you want a revolutionary thing, it has to be, like, in everything you do, you know? Like I said, I don't support a lot of shit anymore for that very reason. Because anyone that doesn't want to see a black woman like me coming from where I came from get to their highest timeline, that I can't support it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's fucking Walmart. It doesn't matter. You know, it's like if it really doesn't support someone like me to, like, live into the attrition of, like, health and well-being, then period. You know what I mean? Period. We can't do it. You know what I mean? So anywho, and I just saw the fucking knight. I'm gonna take it. The Wheel of Fortune. The Knight of Swords is coming with the Wheel of Fortune. And you will literally know it's because they saw that you fucking made the final cut finally. You see your shit completely clearly, completely see through. You're completely sovereign. Because for every single person, everyone can get this, but no matter what, it's coming to you. Like, what comes to you has your name on it. Like, I will tell you, Dolphin Boy Records got shouted out at Dolphin Boy Records. It was time for his shit to come through to him, point blank, period, right? And so this is why I say do the work to be comfortable with being visible. A lot of us have invisibility wounds. That was one of my wounds, is like feeling like I don't matter, feeling like I'm not seen, right? And so this is going to really trigger that. If you don't feel like people see you, they definitely do, right? So when abundance comes into you, you have to be willing to be standing in your truth and backing and advocating for your truth, but then you'd also have to be someone that's, like, okay with the fact that, like, the blessing is coming into Alexis. It's not coming into everybody else. Because everybody else can have their blessing come into them too. They're responsible for getting their shit. But when it comes to your port, it'll have your name on it. And so this is the reason why a lot of people right now, if you were, like, using other people to, like, finish off your shit, or you're, like, you know, you need other people to do whatever, and that's why you were in the Five of Swords paradigm, this will pass you right by. This is not your turn. You'll have to wait for the wheel to go around again. Because this wheel's going to make you tell the truth. So you can only have it if you're really standing in your truth and you're willing to do your truth. And that's not an overnight journey, right? For many of us. So that's going to be the message for today. I'm just really thrilled about it. But like I said, it was so beautiful because this thing comes right to you. It has your name on it, and it just feels deeply personal. And it is about the divine reconnecting with you personally. It's not just your group, you know what I mean? It's not just like your brand. It's not everyone that's next to you. It's like something that comes to you. And I think the reason why it took so long and so much, like, you know, initiation after initiation after initiation is just so that, because I don't think you realize how much you may have had a wounding with things just coming to you, with you receiving love from God, specifically, you know, with you being the person that's a star, with you being the person that's special, not other people. This is you being paid back for, like, what you really have done, you know, not just the things that other people help you do. No, your shit. And so if you are finding yourself right now feeling like you're in that sort of hellscape frequency, just know, get some more of that individuation. I know it's uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable for me. to be in my North Node. When you have a Pisces South Node in the 11th house, trying to go to the Virgo North Node in the 5th is like not comfortable. You know, this is like public crucifixion for me. Every single one of these videos is about fucking making me uncomfortable because that's where my money is. You know, I have to be radically vulnerable. I have to advocate. I have to show who I really am because I was raised and born and bred to not do that. And that's why I stayed in the same tax bracket, in the same karmic loops, in the same bullshit, attracting the same shit over and over again. So you will eventually, after this cycle, you will get enough of the tilt-a-whirl. But it's really exciting because I just feel like this message, this daily message is so special because it just has so much to do with like this, the reason, whether you get it or not, just in this open portal with this fucking Leo season, if you get it this Leo season, just know it's because you did the work to be comfortable with God, like telling you to rise up, with God elevating you specifically. And that's something that, you know, we're all on a journey of being ready to do or not do. Up to you. No, I don't give a shit. But I just, again, this archive is for you to like continually play because these are living words. You can, this, because all of you will, this will happen multiple times in your life. This is just, but like I said, right now there's a portal open. This is how you should approach the portal, right? And again, the tower directly was the last thing that you needed to see clearly in order for you to be okay with like, oh, it's not them, it's me that's going to have this. And eventually you will assemble like soul family that also gets their name called at the same time you get your name called. So you don't ever have to feel like, oh, can I bring my bros? Can I bring my besties? No, your besties should be people that are also being called by God, right? At the same time you are. And so that's what's really special. And that's what I'm documenting here is like me and Dolphin Boy Records, Tethered Studios and Dolphin Boy Records are going up at the same time. But it's because we're aligned and it's because we're on the same path and we were meant to do this together. And so I really want you guys, if whatever you're learning from this experience right now, it'll definitely spit you out to understand the value in being on the same path as someone, right? And being in alignment with the things that are really for you, because then you'll see there's a lot less effort. You know, like I said, me and Dennis are born 40 days apart, and it's like our shit is just always on the same timing. And so there's a lot of stuff we don't really have to like worry about in terms of like making sure it works out or, you know, this, that, or the third. Just because, yeah, truly like, God, it's God's work, you know. It's not, there's so I want people to have more ease through this series. That's kind of why I'm doing the daily check-ins this month, because I just want you to feel like you have some sort of empathic guidance and presence. Again, you know, please pray for me. If this kind of comes out delayed, it'll come out when God wants it to come out. But yeah, there was benefits to doing that work that I told you, to like really filtering out your water and whatnot, just so that way when you do get new water, it doesn't feel like you have anything to do but like open wide and take a guzzle type of frequency. So thank you so much for being here. It's been an hour and 6 minutes. I've done my job for today. I'm going to go celebrate a new exciting announcement from Dolphin Boy very shortly. And we're going to go celebrate because we just had some really great news come in. But thank you again for always just being here, being grounded, and being present with me. I'm going to try to get this hoe up on the YouTube ASAP. Peace, love, light. I'm with you. We'll see you tomorrow. Okay, bye.